Just when you thought things couldn't get any more messed up in Canada, it just got a little bit spicier yesterday.
Holy smokes. If you guys have been following any Canadian politics of what's been happening, a major development just happened in Canada yesterday. Our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, has publicly announced that he will be resigning as Liberal Party leader. And this is a huge bombshell that just went off and some major developments. And we wanted to do a timely video for you guys to how is this going to affect short-term rentals and Airbnbs in Canada and in North America.
Let's get into it. So on Monday, January 6, 2025, Justin Trudeau, the current Prime Minister of Canada, announced that he is no longer going to be running for the Liberal Party leader. What does this mean exactly? Well, from what we know right now, as this is a developing situation, he is still currently the Prime Minister of Canada, although what has transpired since this announcement, he's also prorogued Parliament in Canada until nearly the end of March. I believe it's March 24th, if I'm not mistaken. Okay.
All right, so if this is the first time you're joining us at STR Wealth Academy, I'm Katrina.
Michael here.
And we are the co-founders of STR Wealth, everything about short-term rentals and long-term wealth. So today we're going to get into some major developments with Canadian politics and just what happened yesterday, which was January 6, 2025. It was an incredible development and how that impacts your Airbnb business and what it looks like moving forward.
So here's what we know so far. On January 6th, Justin Trudeau announced that he is going to be officially resigning from his position as the party leader of the Liberal Party here in Canada. So what has happened since then is he's also announced that he's going to be proroguing Parliament until nearly the end of March, March 24th, if I'm not mistaken. So effectively what this means is he's suspending Parliament for the next 2 months, while the Liberal Party of Canada is going to be hosting its own leadership race to decide who the next leader of Canada is. Now, this is problematic in so many different ways in Canada right now because as of January the 20th, the US administration is going to be changing guard. We are now having a Trump administration again. And prior to him even coming into office, he's already announced threats of potential 25% tariffs on all Canadian imports, which could have very big implications for the Canadian economy, jobs, financial security for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's going to filter into all aspects. If these tariffs come to fruition in the new, in 20 days essentially.
Well, in literally like the next 2 weeks.
Next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at this. So right now, Parliament is prorogued. So what does that mean? That means everything is frozen. Nothing is getting done. All bills that were currently in motion have been completely frozen / is dead and
essentially
canceled,
yeah.
Right? And nothing is happening for 2 months. So like right now, we have no leadership essentially. And when there's these major developments happening just to, the south of us, we need to be able to prepare of what's happening. So this is some major developments, and this kind of economic shift that's happening right now can really affect your short-term rentals.
So how does all this kind of play into the short-term rental industry? So the thing is, as of December last year in 2024, the Trudeau government announced that they were going to be implementing a $50 million short-term rental enforcement fund. You can check out the link in the description for more details on that. And that was going to be funding that was going to be sent to the municipalities all throughout Canada in order to bump up enforcement for non-compliant short-term rentals, okay? This is typically more so in markets that had very strict regulations around Airbnb and short-term rentals to begin with. But essentially all this funding is doing is just giving more money to already bloated bureaucracies in major cities across Canada. So
And this next 3 years that this was supposed to be filtered over. But if there's a swing and a shift happening in Canada with the new administration coming in as well, which we'll see when that happens with the vote, but everything's frozen right now. We're gonna see some major changes as well with policies. So this was a try, I guess, from the Liberal and Trudeau government to really try to get some housing back onto the long-term market because of the housing crisis we're currently facing here.
A crisis that they largely had
created themselves
through out of control immigration policy and also having to jack up interest rates because they ran too big of a deficit.
So we'll see if this new administration comes in, which is going to be the Conservative Party, which is leading currently today 25 points up in the polls. So essentially a slam dunk right now if a vote was to happen today. And what's going to happen is that he wants to reduce the red tape, reduce government involvement in a lot of these, and be able to incentivize instead building houses, being able to have less red tape and incentivize municipalities and provinces to do that. So that's going to be a big shift in the other way, because if and when the housing crisis gets figured out and we're able to start building more, we're really going to start to see a shift in the amount of supply on the market in real estate. That directly affects short-term rentals and what you can expect in the future.
As far as the situation that we're currently faced with in Canada, I don't see a lot changing for the short-term rental industry just from a policy perspective with this announcement that Justin Trudeau made yesterday. But I do see much larger potential implications if these 25% tariffs were to come to pass through the Trump administration, because that in and of itself would have much larger, broader economic implications for
every Canadian.
Pretty much every Canadian, and also Americans as well, if Canada was to respond in kind and have retaliatory tariffs. So
yeah, and you have to think about that. Really goes into everything. It's like, are people going to have discretionary spending, right? Are they going to be able to travel as much? Are they going to be able to, just enjoy going to the mountains or starting? And short-term rentals are really in tourism and it's entrenched in that. So it's going to start filtering in, and so we're going to probably see a tightening in the next few months here with that. If that tariff, if it comes in, we're going to be seeing that. But in the long term with the new administration, if it comes in, we're going to be seeing a shift the other way.
Yeah, and again, the timing of all of this series of events, couldn't have been more poorly timed on the part of Justin Trudeau, because literally, within the next 2 weeks here, the Trump administration is coming in. He has been very clear that this is something he is very strongly looking at if, Canada can't get its border under control with the flow of drugs, with the flow of illegal immigration coming into the United States. And he doesn't really respect Justin Trudeau. I mean, that's been very clear, and vice versa the other way, Justin Trudeau to Donald Trump. So it's a very interesting situation we find ourselves in, because Trump is also a very hard negotiator, and he's not going to really respect anything coming from the Trudeau administration right now, because he's effectively handicapped himself and he's stepping aside. So again, Canada...
Who's he going to talk to? There's no one to talk to.
There's really no point in Trump dealing directly with Trudeau at this point, because he's just essentially going to see him as a lame duck.
That's stepping down.
A lame duck that really has no power left at this point.
So ultimately, guys, all of these political changes and unrest ultimately is out of our control, at the end of the day. So at a high level, that's what's happening, but all of it is out of our control. And until an election happens and we can go to the polls, there's really nothing we can do in the meantime in the government scope. However, what you can do is really focus on what you can control, what you can tangibly control in your life, in your situation. Because Canadians right now, or honestly people from North America, is we've seen the highest inflation. It's really hard right now to, your dollar's not going as far, especially in Canada with the exchange to the United States. It's not been great at all, right? No. Housing crisis is happening all across there. So really, what can you control? One of the biggest things you can do is not being reliant on a single source of income and a job, right? It's just how can you start doing this? Diversifying and start finding different streams of income to help supplement this and deal with what's currently happening in the current landscape.
So as far as how Katrina and I are addressing the situation, the best we can, through the things that we can control, we are simply doubling down and investing in our business, acquiring more units, growing our income to the best of our possible ability, and just hanging on for dear life at this point, guys, because
controlling your income is the only thing you can do, and it's tangible. And so over the last 7 years, Michael and I have been able to build a multiple 7-figure Airbnb short-term rental business from scratch. We've been able to grow to over 70 units. Most of them we do not own. We talk about this in previous videos about our partnership model, rental arbitrage model, and we're able to grow in multiple markets as well. You can do this in different countries, in different areas and different provinces or different states. So that's what's really crucial here is you have to be able to rely on your own income, so you don't rely on market conditions to dictate your income coming in.
100%. So Hopefully that gives you guys a bit of a breakdown in terms of what's currently going on in Canada and what it means for short-term rental operators and what are some of the potential opportunities that are going to be opening up as a result of the changes that we are starting to see.
The biggest thing is to keep an eye on what is happening in the market. Policy changes are really going to be coming into, but also shift with supply and demand and a lot of economics, and that filters into definitely real estate, which short-term rentals are part of course.
But that's our take. What do you guys think about what's going on here? Let us know in the comments below what you think the changes that we're starting to see in Canada and how you feel that may affect short-term rentals, or if you're already an existing operator, or if you're potentially looking to get into the industry to begin with. Now, if you like this video and want to be notified the next time we put out new content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you will be notified anytime we release new videos on this channel. And again, leave us a comment in the box below. Let us know your thoughts on what we talked about here today. But otherwise, make it a great day, ladies and gentlemen, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.
See you in the next video.